All right, we are live. Welcome to the Otter's Den with Madonna Barr from down under in Australia.
Hey!
How you doing? Thank you so much for being on the show tonight.
You know what? It is the biggest honor. Thank you so much, Keith. I love watching your show. It's awesome. And hey to all the viewers. Hey to everyone in the States. Good to see you guys.
All right, I am going to quick share this out, and while I do that, I'll let you go ahead and start introducing yourself. People come on. A lot of viewers watch, later on, so they'll get to see it.
Sure.
As people jump on, they may wonder. We may have to throw that out a little bit again, but it usually works out.
Yeah, sure. No worries. Cool. Well, my name is Madonna Barr, and I'm an energetic life consultant. I base myself in a beautiful place called Mount Tamborine in southeast Queensland, and it's really gorgeous part of the world. It's a mountain community, and we are mostly off the grid. So it's very kind of eco-friendly and cool. And it's about a 30-minute drive down to the beach. So it's not too far from the beach near the Gold Coast. So it's a lovely spot. So that's where I base myself. And I dabble in a few things. Pretty much the short answer to what I do is I do everything I like to do and everything that I'm good at doing. And that encompasses essentially core skill set, I suppose, of your traditional kind of coaching skills. So I'm NLP qualified, and I'm a conversational hypnotherapist as well. And I use the sort of standard kit of coaching tools that most other life coaches use. I also am a very long time dedicated Qigong practitioner. So Qigong is the parent methodology of Tai Chi, and it's a very ancient methodology of energy management and energy transference through your body and expelling out negativity and implanting and loving your organs with positivity. And it also works with meridians, and it works with, different, it aligns with the chakras, but it's not chakra based, it's more meridian based. So I teach and practice Qigong. And the third little feather in my cap that I use in my work is I'm a feng shui consultant as well. So with Madonna Barr, my business, my little tagline is I energize you from the inside out. And so what I try to do and take my clients on a journey is I start with the inside out. So inside is your mindset, inside is your heart space, inside is your soul knowing, inside is about what is going on in the inside, your health and wellness and your fitness and how you are showing up physically and also emotionally and spiritually as well. And then I take them on a journey. We tweak lots of things. And then we take a look at what's happening on the outside. So I take a look at their house environment, and we align. Once we get their energy happening good on the inside and nice and clean and clear and focused and aligned and peaceful, then we look at what goes on the outside of them, because your outside determines also a bit about what goes on in the inside, because it has to, right? There's an energy transference between external and internal. And so that is basically what I do. And I'll go in and I'll feng shui their house. We might not buy brand new furniture or, do too much. We might just move things around so that it's energetically more balanced and the colors are uplifting and different things are in the right places.
Break up the old stagnant energy.
Yeah, so I release that energy and also enable more energy to be cultivated through the use of color, through the use of positioning, through the use of things like their entry and their garden and all the other things that, we're all energetic. It's all connected. Nothing is in isolation. So it's a matter of just, making them the best they can so that they give you the best energy you can get.
Absolutely.
Transfer with it is what I should say. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very interesting. With your home environment you were speaking of and the energy levels. I deal a lot with paranormal, and we found that the cleaner you keep your home, the more decluttered you keep your home, the more happy you are. The more happy you are, the stronger your energy levels are, the higher your vibration is, and the opposite is also true. So the lower end of that spectrum, a lot of those kind of people, they have more issues with the paranormal than people who keep their homes up. It's a very interesting contrast.
It is. And what I find interesting is that, well, I mean, really, is it that much of a mystery? Really? I'm just going to pop the question out there. Is really all of that just such a mystery? It's not. The truth is, it's really not a mystery to any of us. We just have all of these kind of filters that filter in, and it's like, what starts out being clear glass when we're born that we look through, right, eventually starts to become different colors or opaque, and it becomes, we get these filters go on in front of us, and so, and it changes how we see things. So is it really a mystery? I don't think it is. The reality is, I don't think any of that energetic connection stuff is a mystery. I just think what happens is we get super busy. We disconnect from our own energy. We disconnect at times from the external energy. We don't go out into nature enough. And then before you know it, we are just unconsciously sort of zooming along and wondering, why am I chronically ill? Why do I feel tired all the time? Why am I overly emotional? Why am I overly reactive? Because we're just checked out, and it's like a wild tiger in the forest with no, with no guard around it. It can be very unfocused, and I guess that's one of the passions that I work with in my world, is that I help people recognize that really gently, and I help them understand how they can slowly just bring that back into their own energy and their own balance.
Yeah, because that's another thing with the paranormal. The more and stronger the issues with the paranormal, the more health issues people can have. You get an entity, pulling that energy out of you 24/7, and it can really affect your health. Cancer, digestive issues, heart issues, breathing issues, the way you think, your thought patterns. It can make you do things you don't normally do. It's really interesting, how that works. And what you said a minute ago, I actually touched a bit on this last week. We're all connected. We are. Scientists have physically proven, by taking a photon, splitting it into two identical ones, shoving it 14 miles apart, and what they did to one happened to the other at the exact time. They had an atomic clock, no time passed. So what we do here affects something on the other side of the universe. At one time, the universe was something the size of a pea, and then boom, everything was connected. And it's just mind blowing if you actually sit back, especially, go back, sit back under the stars, look up at the stars and the planets, and just let your mind roll with that. You can really drive yourself crazy. It's fun.
You can, and I call that helicopter vision. So you know how a helicopter can just take off the ground, and all of a sudden it's up really high and it can see everything everywhere. Yes. Well, I call that helicopter vision. So when people are activating the helicopter vision, they rise up out of their doldrum life, or whatever they feel, whatever's feeling they've got around their life, and they are able to then look outside of that and be able to, change the view. Sometimes when you change the view, you get a different perspective and a different thought about things.
Absolutely.
And so sometimes, just going for a bit of a cosmic wander up into the stars. I do that here at the mountain, because where I am, of course, I don't have any city lights around me. It's all really dark. And when there's no clouds and the stars are shining, they're shining. They shine brightly. They are beautiful. And when the moon is full here, it is full. There is no denying the moonshine. You don't even need the lights on at nighttime. It's so beautiful and bright. So I go out and I, have a bit of a dance, and I have a lot of critters in my forest, because I have a rainforest just at the back, and I have a lot of critters, and they sing songs, and I go out there and I just walk in the darkness with the critters and under the moon and the stars, and it's very energizing. It is a space where I feel like as if there is nobody going to attack me, nobody going to judge me, nobody going to do anything to me that isn't isn't allowed anyway, but it's just a safe, beautiful, peaceful place where I can go out and do that stuff. And I think more people need to understand the value that those little types of activities that you can do that are free. They don't cost you anything, right? The only thing standing between you and that is your mind and the thought of it. So but those types of things are priceless, and they really do give a lot of peace and beauty, and they remind you of where you sit in the whole scheme of things. And sometimes what we think is, the major big drama in our life is actually really minutia. In the scheme of things, it's minutia,
Yep, I totally get that. I used to let little things, just blow my world apart. I get triggered and because I dropped my pencil or something. And I was like, well, okay.
Yeah.
And sometimes there's messages in that, you're in a hurry, you drop something and you've been looking for something for 3 days. You drop something like, and there's what you're looking for. Spirit helped you by making you drop that pen. It's just amazing, how the synchronicities and everything can work. I'm really starting to pay attention to that. Hey, Lisa, Renee, Deanna, Steph, how y'all doing? Thanks for jumping on. Madonna, can you see the comments?
No, I can. How do I get those comments up here?
Okay. I've got them all. I'm streaming on the Otter's Den, on Cobra Paranormal, and on my YouTube page. And they all come to here, so I can see them all, and I can throw them up.
Here we go. So, I can see them now too. Hey there, all are. Oh, look at all the lovely people. Hello, Stephanie. Hey, Cobra Paranormal. Who else is here? Deanna. Hi, Deanna. Hi, Renee. Lovely to see you. Lisa. Hi, Lisa. Great. Thanks, guys. Thanks for joining.
You bet.
Awesome. So good to see everyone. That's great.
Okay, there we go. Renee, how you doing? Thanks for jumping in. Where was? Oh yeah, that's what I was looking for. Your cat jumped on your phone. Well, I guess you weren't supposed to jump on the live feed at that time, then, were you? See what I did there? And I think she froze. Let's give her a second to see. Hang on.
Can you hear me? Here I
am. Okay, hang on. Let me get rid of this other one. We lost you on one feed, and then you came back through.
Oh, I know. Anyway, that's the cosmos just testing all the technologies working. And hey, here we are. It is.
Absolutely. Hi, Stratton. How you doing?
So what would you like to talk to me about, Keith? You've got my full attention here for an entire hour. What shall we talk to with our beautiful viewers? What some of the things maybe our viewers might like to talk about?
I was just curious as which you went into some of it, in your intro. But just explaining to everybody, like the different aspects and processes of, each of the way, words, each way you teach, with clients, you do several different types of teachings. And by the way, I it's bugging me. I got to get it out. I'm very jealous of your surroundings there. I want to be there so bad. I want to go into that forest and just walk around and feel the energy. And and I've always wanted to go to Australia. So this here is probably the closest I'm ever going to get. So thank you for allowing me to have my trip to Australia. There, I got it out.
You know what? If we have some time at the end, I would love to take you for a walk around my garden. I can take you out to the forest and show you the real rainforest right here.
Let's do it.
So let's talk what we got to talk first, and then at the end of it, if people want to stay around and have some time, we can do a little bit extra time, and I can take you for a walk out in the back rainforest here. It's beautiful, and we can go do some fun stuff. That's cool.
Okay. Why don't you, since we have some people on now, why don't you rattle off real quick, your introduction again, and we'll see if anybody's got any questions on any of the individual techniques that you use.
Sure, no worries. So essentially, I label myself, if we have to do labels, I label myself an energetic life consultant. So I use a combination of tools in my work, and I take people on a bit of a journey of energizing themselves from the inside out. So what what our external world reflects is really also linked to what we have inside of us, right? So we will attract just as much as we will repel everything that is a mirror of us. And
Yeah.
so what I do in my business is I step people through um, my 4-session coaching program, initially called Rediscover You. And why I called it Rediscover You is because over a period of time, what tends to happen to people is we accumulate baggage, or we accumulate thoughts and beliefs and values that may not always serve us, and they may keep us held, and they may keep us imprisoned, if we want to use that word, sort of involuntarily, unconsciously, to certain paradigms that we are living out in our life. And so what I do is I step people through rediscovering themselves, and we work through a system of just understanding, give me all the beliefs that you have inside of you about you and your life and what's going on. I want them all, the good, the bad, the ugly. And some people rock up and they got 10 pages of stuff, and I sit there and I do what's called an audit checking process, and I get them to read the beliefs out, and I check the resonance of how they're saying them, and I tap into them, and we truth audit them. So when they are not being genuinely authentic and honest with themselves, I call that. And I call that with love, and I call it gently. And then we go through a little process of finding what the truth is. So eventually over that time, if you think about it in terms of like an onion, we're peeling back the outer skin of the onion until we get to that really nice, beautiful, juicy center, right? That is just onion. There's nothing, there's no other way to think about an onion when you peel off the layers. It's just onion. So, and I always love that Marvin Gaye song, Onions. It's a really great song. Anyone wants to check that out. But there's, with my process, we sit there and we peel back all of the baggage that you might have accumulated over many years of your life. And sometimes we've got limiting beliefs still stuck in there from when we're children. We get told something and it stays there. We allow it to anchor into our heart and our soul and our unconscious, and we don't understand that when we get triggered in certain places, it replays that pattern, and the next thing you know, we're acting and saying things that sounds like an 8-year-old.
Yeah.
And we just we don't understand that process. So what we do is, what I do is is to help people recognize whatever is inside of them that is really affecting their adult behavior now. Because what's happened has happened. You can't change it, but you can change how it makes you feel, and you
Yeah, you
can
can
change
change
how
it.
it makes you behave, right? And you can change your perception around your future and how else it alters your paradigm and your reality that you're living. So, and and I guess the thing that's important to understand about that is that our life is fully constructed. We construct it. We're Bob the Builder. Like, we're Bob the Builders of our life. And so,
Yes.
it depends what materials you're using. What material are you using to build your life, and what view are you creating? All of these types of things. So I use that. I use that to start with, and then I also have 2 other disciplines that I work with. I'm a long-time Qigong practitioner, so I'm a certified Qigong practitioner. I've been practicing Qigong for almost 15 years, and I use Qigong as a way of helping people to be able to control their anxiety. It helps them to be physically better. It helps their body to oxygenate really fully,
Important.
and it helps them to also clear out negative emotion and practice the practice of loving your organs, which is super duper important. And then I guess the third thing, and we can sort of go into any of these a bit more if anyone wants to, um, after I mentioned this last one, is I'm also a feng shui consultant. So I use the coaching and the qigong to get people really cleansed in their mind, in their heart, in their soul, and get to the truth of exactly who they are and correlate that into their life through congruent actions. And I use Qigong to help them maintain the stamina that it takes to do that on a health and wellness level. And then we go to their external environment, their home, their office, whatever, wherever they would like it, wherever we need to look, really. And there's always indicators. And we feng shui their house. So that might mean just as simple as moving things around to create better energy, to make it feel lighter to go into, to use colors to change moods and states and feelings. Sometimes we don't buy anything. Sometimes we're just painting. Sometimes we're just moving things around. But we are, maximizing the energy. And feng shui believes in direction. And there's a bagua that you work to, and there's an energy flow that comes into your house and through your house and out your house. And then it's just a matter of positioning all of that to make it maximize and give you your best feeling. Because when we feel good, we have a good life.
Yes.
That's as complicated as it gets. When we feel good, we have a good life, no matter what happens. So that's, I guess, me in a nutshell. I energize people from the inside out. And really, at the end of the day, the end goal is to feel good and to feel like you've got it, you're happy in your life and you have a good life. That's it.
It's amazing, the coincidences between what you do and what I do with the paranormal. Getting people to do their quote, what we call it is shadow work. Look in the mirror, look in yourself. You're looking at your shadows, those parts of you that have been hiding in the shadows for decades that you don't want to admit are there. You don't want to face those shadows because it's gonna hurt. It may hurt really bad. And doing that is not easy. After I got my help with the paranormal, I went through a couple dark nights of the soul that I almost didn't come out of. And I'm sure you're familiar with that term, dark night of the soul. Okay.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, there's definitely dark and lightness. I don't actually kind of, I guess, refer to it in that way, but if we're talking darkness and lightness, I totally understand that concept. Yes.
Yeah. Think of depression, and then take that times 100 while everything is coming out. And by the time you come out of it, you are questioning everything about even your existence here on this planet. Why am I here? Why did I have to go through all this? Well, with me, it's so I could learn both sides of a lot of different situations, and learn about me and why I was on both sides of those situations so that I could help my clients. It's been a really interesting trip. With what you were saying with the feng shui, with the home. I don't know much about feng shui, but what I've been working on for a while now is I was a hoarder. I kept everything. I kept receipts from high school.
Wow.
Okay. And they were in totes and boxes in the basement. And I would take them from home to home to home. Well, guess what? I'm out of totes and I'm out of boxes. My kids have their stuff.
What did you do with that then? Like, how did you correlate that in your mind and change that out?
I went through everything, item by item by item. Okay, I have no idea why I kept that. Toss it. Oh, I remember that date. I don't need that anymore because I'm not with that person. Okay, this is my kid's report card. I kept all of those school stuff, their art. My mom did the same thing with me. So at a certain time, okay, I kept this for you. Here you go. Do with it what you want. You want to go through it and toss it? Go through it and toss it. You want to keep it so your kids can see it? It's yours now. Have at it.
Yeah.
I've still got a little bit to go through, but as I'm doing this, I'm getting rid of old stagnant negative energy. And I finally came to realize that a lot of this shadow work, something I didn't want to face, I kept old letters and stuff, from high school, from old girlfriends, from my first marriage, and I'm like, why am I hanging on to this stuff? And then it hit me. There's always that just in case. Just in case. What if you ever got back with that person? Hey, look what I still got. Guess what? I'm never getting back with any of them. I've went through those. I've talked to them. I've had conversations with them about what happened back then because of my possession. That's not going to happen. Guess what? Here, universe, have this. And it's really, really, really helped me, energetically, mood-wise. It's difficult to go through that stuff, and I usually have 2 or 3 days where I'm But that's just, I figured out what that is. That spirit helping to remove that stagnant energy from me. It's not that I'm actually getting depressed, because I'm not, but you feel that way. But the universe and spirit is helping you to remove that negativity so that it can be replaced with positivity. I'm doing all this to make room in my home for new beginnings. Um, and just to make everything neat and organized. And the energy in here is getting better and better and better every time I work on it a little bit. So that's just an interesting correlation. And a lot of what I do, I've got a lot of protection set around the house to keep the paranormal out. I ain't going through that again. And those are going to work much better with all that negativity out of here, and I'm going to be able to help people better. So it's interesting that we're kind of on a similar plane, just in different abstracts.
We are, and also, just to kind of build on what you just said about keeping the paranormal out, you also want to balance that. I'm just hearing something, if I may share some information back to you that you can consider and take on and work with moving forward with that. It's not just about keeping things out, it's about inviting the right things in. Because inviting the right things in, inviting the positive energy into your house and releasing the attachment of fear to resist against the paranormal, that is what really truly allows flow, the proper, the really healthy, positive, energetic flow from the external universe through us, through our house, through our bodies, through our being, right? Yeah. So the thing about and I was just having this conversation with a beautiful person a day or so ago, and that is, the fundamental difference in our mindsets and how we perceive things when it comes to flow and resistance, right? So, for example, you can say that you want to keep the paranormal out. Well, I'm sure that there's, I don't know how much, because I haven't really delved into too much of it, but I'm sure there's aspects of the paranormal that are really great to invite in.
There are. My guides are welcome anytime.
Yeah,
My
that's right.
grandparents, they shoot in
And
whenever they want. With my grid I've got around the house, if there's a spirit wandering around that's lost, if they need help, they can come to me for help.
sure.
I've
And
got
so with feng shui, it's a bit similar, to be honest. With feng shui, it's very similar. You have positive energy and negative energy, and you want to keep the negative energy from absorbing into your house. So you put certain symbols and things that it can't cope with, it can't resonate with, and therefore it doesn't attach to your home.
right.
And so it's an interesting way of looking at things, and some people might call it a bit woo-woo. But you'd be really surprised at how many woo-woos I convert, how many anti-woo-woo people I convert to all of a sudden being woo-woo, and it's not even woo-woo. So let's just release that judgment away from all of it. It's just energetics, and the reality is, and Einstein proved it, and many scientists over millions of years, or hundreds of thousands of years, have said the same thing. We are all energy, and we are positive energy and we are negative energy, all in the one body.
Yes.
And that is the same thing in everything. You have positive energy, negative energy in all things.
Yep.
All things. So it's just about understanding that as a fundamental natural law of life. That's the truth.
Absolutely.
It's the truth. And you can't argue it. There's no arguing that. You can't try and discredit it. There's no discrediting it either, because it just is. And we have shown it time and time again, to all the skeptics, it just is. And you either work with it in flow and you accept it and you respect it and you admire it and love it and welcome it, and you have a an intention to have that good life, or you fear it. And fear is where you're in resistance. Fear is where you are in a place of anxiety and stress and depression and all of those negative emotions, which are all fine. There's nothing wrong with them.
No, not at
It's that
all. It's important to let
that
yourself feel all of
understanding that they exist, and instead of resisting them, just accept that that's a part of what's going on for you, and understand the source of what that is, and work with that, and help to alleviate the source of what is provoking those negative emotions in your life.
it.
And
Yeah.
that's what I do. I work with people to remove the negative emotion, to remove the negativity in their life, and replace it with that really beautiful, solid truth of love and that love energy. And that's not love from a woo-woo place. I'm talking abundance. I'm talking peace. I'm talking gratitude. There's a number of different things that make up that energy.
Yep. That's something I had to do last night. I was really down and out last night. But I sat down. I'm like, okay, this is how I'm feeling. I know what I'm doing. I know why this is happening. Okay. I kept myself from going further down the rabbit hole. I got to a point. Okay, maybe we'll stop doing that for tonight. We'll go to bed. We'll ask for some help and guidance, ask for help removing. And this morning was better. So a little bit at a time, little here, little there. So I totally get what you're saying. Renee had a question here.
What are some of the ways to energize yourself? Hey, I like that question. That's really cool. Because guess what? Look what I did. I printed them all out.
Awesome.
Renee, and I was hoping to speak a little bit about that. I was just sort of waiting for our conversation to go that way. And here you are. Thank you, Renee. You've taken it right to where I was hoping it was going to go. So energizing yourself is, as I was saying before, it's about stripping back some of the layers that in your life, and it can mean anything from an unhealthy diet to an unhealthy mindset to maybe some habits and patterns that you're doing. Maybe it's your environment. There's a whole great big little. There's what I call, everyone has a secret code, right? This is kind of how I explain it to my clients. We all have our happy life code, right? And so it's like cracking open a safe. You know how you got a combination to a safe, and when you try and crack open the safe, if you just get one of the numbers not right, the safe won't open.
Oh.
Right? It doesn't open. So you got to tweak the numbers on the safe to open up the door of the safe, and voila, there you are. Well, it's that same process is what I do with my clients. We tweak, we tweak, we tweak. We, get the combination right, whatever that is for you. It's fine. There's no judgment around it. It's just going to open up your energy like you can't imagine, because when you remove the things that plague you, and this is number one principle, Renee, so turn on your ears and open up your mind and let this filter right on down. The number one principle is removing out of your life all of the things that do not serve you, that actually use your energy in a negative way. It's just really simple. And when you acknowledge what they are and you make a decision to remove them, there is nothing left but the possibility of you having a higher energy level, because these things, these worries, physical weight, whatever it is that's plaguing you, when they get released and when you action that and it gets removed away from your life, it makes space for the good stuff.
Yeah.
And
That could be
this is all
people,
about.
jobs.
It can be a number of things, and sometimes they're tied with our beliefs and our value systems. So if we have a value, say for example, let's make an example of health, right? Okay, so a lot of people akin their energy levels to their health. Well, that's just one aspect, but if it's a very common one. So let's talk the common one first. Let's say I have a value of I'm healthy. I believe in good health, right? And so my value is good health. I then have a belief that says, hey, I'm going to do everything that is healthy. Now, you might know what the hell that is, but you got a belief that I live healthy. I try and live healthy all the time, right? So this is what you tell yourself. This is your belief. And so then you go through the week and you have that McDonald's or that Burger King, and then you eat some steamed vegetables and you ping pong from healthy to unhealthy, and you know it, right? Because you know it. You know that you're doing that.
Yep.
And then you might go out and have a big binge drink on the Friday night, right? And so knock back all these beers or whatever you've done, and you wake up Saturday morning and you don't feel healthy. You feel really crap because you've had all this ping pong eating during the week, and then you end the week on a huge binge drink, and then you wake up the next day and you feel like hell has arrived.
Yo.
That's not living an energized life, is it? I mean, there's no rocket science. This is not rocket science. This is just reality. This is, cause and effect. This is, you do X and you end up with Z. Well, then you have to ask the question, well, what am I doing? How can I be doing this better? And it centers around discipline. It centers around awareness. It centers around making your values and your beliefs and your actions aligned and congruent so that you're not self-sabotaging yourself all the time.
Yep, and that takes time and practice because, for decades, this is how you lived. It's been ingrained and trained. And so you have to retrain, and you can reprogram your brain by thinking different, but it takes time. And one thing I noticed with the fast food is over the past 3 years, since I got my help with the paranormal and I've been growing my vibration, the more I grew my vibration, the less I can't eat that stuff anymore.
Yeah.
I cannot eat it. No, ain't happening.
That's right. Well, as your vibration raises, the things that are low vibration will drop away. They can't hold on. Yeah. Right. So when you've got two different vibration levels, one is lower, the takeaway food is really unhealthy. It is full of sugars. It's full of yeast. It's full of salt.
Chemical.
Those types of foods are not healthy. Our body is not designed to eat this type of food. Our body is designed to eat food that is more natural, that is more unprocessed, that is a lot less, full of all of these additives that the manufacturing companies add into them. So, that's often a source of people's energy. Another way that you can energize your life, because I'm just conscious. Renee's asked me a very specific question, and I guess the answer for Renee is going to be about what Renee's not doing in her life, and she's going to know what that is, and maybe she doesn't. But at the end of the day, it's it covers a number of areas, and that's the awareness that I want people to think about. Relationships is also another area that drags people's energy down, right? So when you have conflict and stress and drama in your relationships, it is absolutely like zapping. It is zaps you. It takes your energy away. So it's about then understanding, well, what do I need to do? Who do I need to show up as? If I want to have a happy, loving relationship, I have to be happy, loving with relationship with me first. Right. And then when I get that right with me and I'm happy and loving, that person is going to feel, oh, she's happy and loving. I can feel relaxed to connect with her, for starters. And then secondly, I can, that gives me permission to be happy and loving too.
Yeah, and you can feel that.
And that's where the peace is felt. So there's another area of life that can zap people's energy. Another area of life that can zap people's energy is obviously their work. If you're going to work and you're doing a job you hate, what sort of karmic energy are you creating every day if you're going to work that you don't like? And maybe you like 60% of your job, and the 40% of it is crap. And you think to yourself, God, I wish I didn't have to do that bit of my job, right? Well, the thing is, if you stay in a place of resistance about that 40%, that 60% becomes unfun.
Yeah.
Right? It becomes unfun because you are giving power and you're giving the belief, the control of how you feel about your job to the 40% of stuff that sucks. That's not great.
I've been
right? And so consequently, when you're doing that and you're selling yourself out all the time and you're focusing on the negatives instead of actually focusing on things that are going to uplift you and give you the right sense and feeling that you're after, then that is self-sabotage. That's the ultimate self-sabotage. And Renee, I guess to answer your question in short form, which I could have done a little bit earlier, I suppose, but it's good to get an understanding, is that self-sabotage, when you remove that out of your life, you will have more energy. And the self-sabotage, as I'm explaining, happens in lots of different areas of your life. It's happening on different levels, and it's about being aware. And what I was wanting to let people know today, I was going to give them the top sort of 10 tips, I guess, and on how you can live your life more in alignment with who you are and who you want your life to look like and be and experience. And it's about living on purpose, and it's about being very aware and taking responsibility. Taking responsibility for the contracts you create with people, taking responsibility for for what you are doing and what you are not doing. So it's about awareness, and it's about also I just want to be gentle around this as well, and that is acknowledge that we live an incredibly busy life. We put ourselves under a huge amount of pressure to keep up with the modern day lifestyles of 2 houses, 2 dogs, 2 cats, 2 kids, 2 cars, 2 jobs. It's like we got double time of everything in our lives now that really has not existed before. And
Yeah.
it's only because of capitalism. It's because of huge, great big multinational corporates who are driving, us, marketing to us, making us believe we need all of this stuff. And the truth is we don't. We don't need 2 cars and 2 houses and two dogs and 2 of everything, or 5 of everything. Some people have got 5 TVs in the one house. Like, really? Like, we don't need this stuff, but we get embroiled in these paradigms and these marketing campaigns and the modern way of life. We lose the perspective as to what really truly underpins what is the basic human state of wellness and energy. And so we have to take responsibility for choosing to buy into those paradigms.
Yeah, it's our choice.
Consumers have the biggest power in this world.
Absolutely. If we don't go out and buy that product, we don't have to. I'm still decluttering. I don't need all this stuff I've accumulated. I don't need it.
Yep.
I just want simple, organized and simple. That's all I want these days. Now, back in the day, I wanted all the top stuff. I want, the name brands, this, that, the other thing. I wanted to look at my ego. My ego had to have the best of everything and as much of everything as I could have. Well, guess what? I've kind of kicked that ego thing. I've kicked its tail a little bit, and I don't need that stuff anymore. I'm me. I know who I am, and that's all that matters.
True, but like, your ego is important too, because your ego also helps you get out of bed every day, helps you brush your hair. It helps me put my lippy on. My ego, like your ego, if you want to stay out of resistance, and we're talking resistance and flow and energizing yourself, one of the biggest zaps of energy is when you're perceiving everything as resistance. So your ego is just great. I think your ego is fantastic, to be really honest, Keith. But it's not about the ego, right? It's about balancing it with the humility. It's about balancing it with simplicity. So it's embracing the ego, and it's enhancing the simplicity all at the same time, which you can do that duality. You can do that, and that's what creates the balance.
Kind of the divine feminine, the divine masculine, finding that balance as well.
The negative and the positive. We just come back to the fundamental law of relativity. That's it. And so raising your awareness in your life about things like, just your standards are really important. So everyone has a freedom of choice, right? We all have the choice as to what we have in our life, what we choose to create, whether we choose to educate ourselves or we choose to not, whether we choose to be alone or partnered with another person, whether we choose to have children or remain without children. These are all of our choices, and there are trade-offs. There's a trade-off. There's an energetic exchange that happens. There is an energetic contract that happens with all of those different exchanges. And we must make choices and understand what those exchanges are. And as soon as you do that exchange, as soon as you let's talk about children, having contract with children. As soon as you have a child, you have a contract with that child. You entered
Yeah.
into a contract with that child to love, to care, to nurture, to protect them for life, for eternity. And so, that's a serious contract to really understand and get on board with. And when we are not operating in integrity, and when we are not owning up to our half of the responsibility of that contract, we're letting people down, we're letting ourselves down. And this is truth. This is just how it is. So you show up and you understand what you are choosing and the consequences of it.
Yeah, that's another thing I noticed going through my kids' tardy slips and detentions and stuff. He
Mm-hmm.
was always late for school. Okay, some of it was because he wouldn't get out of bed. Some of it
Yes.
was due to dad's self-destructive tendencies back then.
Yes.
Now I see that. Now I understand that. It was part of my
Yes.
fault too. It wasn't all him. I can see that now, and I can say that.
Mhm.
In fact, I
Mhm.
wrote him a little note to put with his stuff. Um,
Oh, that's nice. That's
it
lovely.
I could finally
Beautiful
admit
thing.
that I was part of the issue, you know?
Sure. Of
So
course. As
yeah,
parents, we're part of all of our children's issues. And, we, one thing that drives me really crazy, I think I need to put it out there, is this whole modern day psychology thing of, you know what, another person's action is not my responsibility.
mhm,
Yes. Okay. All right. That's nice. Thank you for reminding me about that. But we also impact on another person's capacity to take action at times.
yep,
So, with our children, that's a classic example. And it's a beautiful example that you just raised, Keith, is that, and I've certainly been in this place with my son, Rupert. If he's late to school, that's on me. Most of that, 80%, 90% of that is generally on me, because my son, he gets up, he gets dressed, he eats, he gets himself ready. He's ready at the door on time. And if he's late and if we're late and he's on time, it's me. It's me. I've either been on the phone or messaging someone or I'm talking to a client or, whatever is going down, but I'm responsible for getting him to school. So
yep,
the fact that he's late's on me. I got to own that. But
yep,
he has to put up with the consequence of that. He's the one that gets the late slip. He's the one that
yeah,
walks into the classroom. He's the one that walks in the classroom humiliated, or not humiliated, but feeling bad because he's late.
right,
He's the one that has to put up with the ramifications of that,
yep, the
right?
detentions
So
and the
I don't buy into that whole modern day psychology thing of your actions are your responsibility, because the reality is we are interdependent on each other. And
we were
sometimes other people's lack of responsibility and lack of showing up will alter your ability to be reliable. And, that needs to be talked about. You need to step up. It can't be
absolutely.
argued with. If you let the team down, you let the team down. You have
Yep,
to own that. You have to be responsible for it. Forgive yourself. Give yourself the honor and the dignity of learning that lesson, and say, hey, I really appreciate learning that, and I'm going to do better. I hear you. Thank you. I hear
yep.
that.
I'm going to learn. I'm going to work on that. Thank you for that lesson, like you said. And but most people out there, they don't want to take that blame because that hurts. And so what do? They reflect that blame onto somebody else, which is exactly what I did way
Or
back
they
then.
scream at the kids. They scream at the kids. Like, how many times have you seen parents screaming at kids in supermarkets? The kids are screaming. The kid is crying because the kid is something's. That little child is something's wrong with them, and the parents screaming at the child, saying, "Stop crying! Stop crying!" Well, the child is crying for a reason. Honor the child, and children throw tantrums. We get that, but maybe
Yeah,
they just want to cuddle. Maybe they just need a cuddle. Maybe a little bit of softness actually will help your child to stop screaming. So I find it extraordinary that sometimes the things that push our buttons, instead of actually responding within that love and that gentleness, we respond within severity, and we say and do things that hurt other people, and it has absolutely nothing to do with them,
right.
and it's awful. It's awful. It's an awful thing. It's an awful thing to then face that later and feel the regret, but you have to forgive yourself, because at the end of the day, real love and care about me and real love and care for you and everybody else in my world is about compassion. It's about understanding that we are all trying to do our best. I don't think I've ever spoken to anybody, Keith, that has never said to me, I'm trying to do my best. I might Fruit Loop up a bit every once in a while, and I might, get things wrong. But at the end of the day, I didn't come at you without wanting to do my best. Right.
Right.
And so, and I think the thing about that is we need to treat each other. We need to hear that, give that person the honor of having the life lesson, because and that's not an easy place. That's not an easy place sometimes for people to take that life lesson and really absorb it in. It's hard. It's a hard place.
It is, because like, especially with couples, and friends and whatnot, I've noticed this, I've learned this, and I got to watch myself because I still catch myself doing it sometimes. So many of us listen to respond instead of listen to comprehend and understand what that other person is going through. The whole time the other person is talking, their mind is already forming a battle plan to come back against them so they can be right. They can be the victor of this, quote, argument. It shouldn't be an argument. It should be a comprehensive conversation, a learning experience. So maybe an issue doesn't come back up again,
Absolutely. And when you're listening to make someone right or wrong, you're ultimately listening to wound them. That's not love, and that's not caring about them. It's not even caring about yourself. It is, it's a really toxic cycle to get into. It's a very, it's an interesting cycle to work with, to try and break. Because there are quite deep-seated issues that can sit behind that behavior, those patternings that you need to get to, and you need to talk about, and you need to heal, and you need to do the work on yourself to do that. But I think ultimately it's a very brave journey, and I applaud anybody who is humble and has enough humility to accept their faults and failings. That doesn't mean you have to make yourself less. Doesn't mean that you have to be put under someone to be understood. It just means you have to be given the honor of that moment of imperfectness, and
I can allow myself to be vulnerable with people at times in order for myself to learn, because the more I learn, the better person that I'm going to be, and the better partner I'm going to be with someday.
Yes. Amen to that. I'm sure you will, for sure. We all will. Ultimately, we all will, and we all will in our own time and space, and it will happen when you have, when you're doing your work and you really open up to that place of kindness and love and compassion that we need to have for each other. You attract that person in because they feel safe to come in.
See, even right now, I can feel it. This has been going on off and on for about a year. And generally it's when I make a breakthrough and realize something about myself and correct something about myself. How when you walk in the room and the negativity is just so heavy, and it crushes your chest, the anxiety, and you have that inward force. This is an outward force. It's nice. It's light. It almost tingles. It's like I'm like a Care Bear, shining their light. I don't know if you're familiar with the Care Bear. Okay? That's what
you
I feel
are like a Care Bear. Look at that. Look at that Care Bear head you've got going on there. That's gorgeous. That's a really great analogy. It is.
Yeah, it's the most amazing feeling. I can't explain it. It's just like I'm putting love out to the to the human consciousness. And it's a very
you did explain it. You explained it beautifully. I don't know if you're listening to yourself, but you explained that very beautifully. I got it. Did everyone else get it? I got it. I totally got it. Thank you.
Oh,
but it's those I think that really is the thing that opens up You know, it opens up so much energy into your life when you realize that, you know, you don't have to run around and be this warrior person all the time, because I was having this conversation actually, and I'd like to share this with my viewers, if that's okay, with the
Sure.
viewers here. But this morning I was having a conversation with an amazing person, and he said to me, he said, you know what? He said, you don't have to own other people's projections about you that they're projecting onto you. And I went, whew. Wow, that's a big one, right? That's a
It
big
is.
one. So let me repeat that again. You do not have to own another person's projections of you that they're projecting onto you,
That's what I learned.
right? You can just go, well, thank you for that compliment, or thank you for tearing my personality down all over the internet, or thank you for what you said to me, but you don't have to attach a meaning to it, and you certainly don't have to own it,
Thank you
because
for the
it's
lesson.
not always actually about you. Sometimes another person's perception of you is actually about them.
Yep. Yep. I was having a conversation with a guy the other night on the internet, and I'm like, I was trying to be nice, trying to help the guy, and he just ripped me apart, tore me down. Like, okay,
Yeah,
hey, have a great evening, and I left it at that. Have a great evening. I left
yeah.
the situation with positivity. If he didn't want to
Yeah.
accept that
But, you know, if he
positivity,
reached out to you again, could I ask you, if he reached out to you again, would you accept his call?
yeah, I'd talk to him.
Right, great. Because a lot of people might not accept his call again because they've attached a negative judgment to that interaction and gone, man, that guy's a psychopath. Like he just bailed me out. Like, I'm not taking a call from him again. Da, 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 da. And then all this drama and all the story starts coming in. But you know what? If we actually stand in full compassion and love and acceptance and flow without causing a resistance story, we'd just go, oh man, that poor guy was having a really bad time. I listened to him as long as what I could, but you know, we have to end this call. And that doesn't make him a bad person because he's having a really shit time. It just makes him a good person having a shit time, and he just needed someone to hear him out. So it's
Right.
like, you know, we have to get real with that, and we have to give compassion to those places, because life is stressful. Life can be so stressful because of what we're doing and what we're participating in. This modern day way of life and the crap food that we are being manufactured in, and you know, and all of the sugary drinks and crap that we're being told are healthy for us to drink, you know, like all of that plays a stress on how our body functions, how our hormones function, how we perceive our moods. Like if we're gonna, you know, suck down a couple of bottles of flavored, you know, Tetley tea or whatever the latest thing is with a bunch of sugar in it, it's going to affect your mindset. It's going to affect your energy. It's going to affect how you react to things, because when you're high on sugar, you're you're reactive. You're going to react. So
Yeah.
all of these things will come into play. And I think the important thing is really just to take a big, hard look in the mirror and make sure that you are just, you know, not just doing your best, but you know what you're doing. You're aware of what you're doing. You're making a conscious choice, and you are responsible for it. You're not
Yeah.
blaming everybody else for your craziness.
Right. Another thing I did during that conversation, which is something that we are also doing right now with our listeners, is I planted seeds. I planted
Beautiful.
seeds. I put out little
Yeah.
snippets of self-help stuff in the conversation, and it was a political conversation. Biden guy, Trump guy. Okay, fine, whatever.
Oh yeah.
But
Yeah.
I was trying to be logical and fact-based, and he was calling me a cocaine addict. Never done that before in my life, and never will. That kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And
He's sludge. Yeah.
I would put little positive snippets out for him to sit back and subconsciously think about. It may not help him today, it may not help him tomorrow, but it may help him in a month or a year.
Yeah.
And things that we're talking about tonight may help our listeners tonight, tomorrow, a month from now, a year from now. We're planting seeds. I did a whole video on that one night when I was sitting out in my garage, peeling open my green beans and picking the seeds out, and I just started rambling. And I'm like, God, screw it. And I posted it. And a lot of people loved it. It made a lot of sense to a lot of people.
Yeah. Well, because, you know, I churn too. Like, I'm not sitting here with like some, halo on my head, like as if I'm this perfection and personified. I can tell you that because I churn as well. I'm a fire sign. I'm a Sagittarius, so I'm very passionate. Yeah, anyone who meets me and they can't work that out, there is something not right. So it's like I'm super passionate, and when you are passionate and you're invested in things all the time, and you're giving your energy to stuff, and you're sharing energy, and you're creating energy, and I'm like a volcano at times, with my energy, but it's directed for a good purpose. And that is the discerning part that I want people to understand, is when you have a lot of passion and you're using it for bad purpose, you're gonna sow the seeds of weeds.
Mhm.
When you have a lot of energy, or you're channeling your energy for people's highest good, I always use that term. Please ask me to do what is needed for the highest good of this person, for me, and for all people concerned. So it's like, oh, hi, Renee's a Sagittarius as well. Renee, it sounds like you and I need to have a talk, honey. So we need to get together. So we'll share each other's contacts. It'd be great. Friend request me and we can connect, and I can talk you through some stuff. But it's getting back to the point, is you have to be gentle on yourself, and you have to be gentle with the other person when you're in that type of space. I mean, you could have turned around and told that person he's a complete idiot and douchebag and hung up on him, and that would have made him super super mad, and then he could have gone out and done super mad stuff to someone else. But you lovingly held a space for him, honored what he had to say to you. You didn't necessarily take it in, because that's not your job, that's not your responsibility to take his crap in or what he's throwing at you. But it's certainly, you certainly mirrored stuff back to him, and that's beautiful. That's the ultimate expression of compassion for another person, and dignity.
Yep. And
And I think that's been a really big problem, with this, not just with the US election, but in contentious things that happen in our world all the time. You've got the anti-vaxxers, you've got the Black Lives Matter people, you've got the election people, you've got Republicans, you've got conservatives, you've got all the different factions amongst all of that. That's all just going to play out as it is, because we all have a right to have our own thoughts and convictions and our beliefs, but we don't have a right to then go and sludge someone for theirs.
right.
We don't have a right to defame their character all over the internet. We don't have a right to stalk them. We don't have a right to harm another person for their views. Whether
Correct.
we agree with them or we don't, we do not have the energetic right in accordance with natural law to go around and harm another person. So, I don't know about you, Keith, but I've experienced so many people's reactions to, what I was, particularly about the COVID-19 stuff, and about the reporting of the deaths and whether or not they're true, and whether people are dying of it, or if they're accurate numbers and all of this sort of stuff. At the end of the day, a person's dead. That person's dead. 100,000 people are dead. 1 million people, 4 million people, however many people, they're still dead. Like, can't you understand that that person is dead, and can you not give dignity to their death? It doesn't matter if you believe it's from COVID. It doesn't matter if you believe if the numbers are bogus. I don't give a damn about that. Have some respect for the fact that people are suffering and people are dying and people are getting sick. That's truth. We know that.
It is. You're not wrong there. You're not wrong. It is a real thing.
We are really damaging each other through a lot of conspiracy theory thinking, through a lot of suspicion, a lot of disrespect, and I think our world at the moment is really embroiled in a huge power play around all of that, and it's a difficult place for people to navigate. And I've certainly had a lot of clients, and I also do suicide prevention counseling. It's very low key. I don't talk about it much because that's not Facebook fodder, and it's not anything that, it's highly confidential, and it's very private to everybody that I work with. But the main cause behind people's suicide is a lack of hope and a lack of understanding and a lack of anybody showing those people empathy, and they just don't see a place for themselves here anymore because they are rejected, they're attacked, they're put down, they feel bad about themselves, and nobody's got time to help people like that because we're all too busy and we only go for positive people, you
Right.
know?
And being stuck in your home during lockdown with your family.
Yeah.
You know, the domestic abuse has skyrocketed. The child abuse has skyrocketed. The
Yeah.
alcohol and drug use has skyrocketed. The suicides have skyrocketed from that. Um, so that
Because
all
that's what
needs to be
isolation
addressed.
does. That's what isolation does. Yes.
It,
Mm.
yeah, it can put you in a very dark place.
Mm.
I chose isolation for myself now because I'm working on myself. I don't want certain other people interfering in the lesson that I'm going through right now. That's my
Yeah.
choice. If I want to go out and people, I will. It doesn't happen very often, and it doesn't happen very long. But um, that's my choice. I wanted to throw
Yeah.
out something here real quick. I saw that is my teammate. She is on my
I
Otter's page, so that's why she's
really
coming up on there. That is
your
Michelle.
team, but I've truly loved this tonight, and my morning
Mommy Art needed it.
heart needed it. Ah, that's lovely. That's good. I'm pleased. That's happy. Yay, good.
It
Blessings to
helps
you,
somebody.
Michelle. Yeah, embrace that and make your make your happy state even more, and make your life good in whatever way you can, the best that you can. That's what I always say to people. Doesn't matter what someone says about you or your life. If you're doing your best and you're trying to make your life good for you and your kids and your family, that's the main thing. It's your
Yep,
intention that speaks. Is there
absolutely.
any questions? I can't see the comments anymore, Keith. So is there any other questions in the comments? Can we just screen that, because I would like to make sure I speak to whoever I need to speak to in this
Uh,
process.
I'm not seeing any. Does anybody else have any questions for Madonna? If you do, shoot them out real quick. It's almost time, and I still got
Yeah.
to see that jungle she's got.
Yeah, that's right. Keith, do you mind if I just go through the 10 tips that I wrote down today about living life on purpose and energizing your life to the max? Could we just quickly
Yeah,
go over that without talking too much about it? And if people
yeah.
want to talk a bit more about it, I'm happy to do a Facebook Live and they can jump on my live a bit later.
Okay,
But it'd be great to get the information out there. Would that be okay?
perfect. You know, that'll give them time to get their questions out if they got any.
Awesome, fantastic. All right, so these are the top sort of 10 tips that I always try and give my clients whenever, and I, want to leave this Facebook Live giving people some value to take away and think about. And I'll certainly copy and paste these and post them in the comments below. So don't worry about taking notes. You can just listen and take it in. So turn on your ears and open up your mind and let the spirit write on down. All right, so it's all about living life with purpose, on purpose, not just with purpose, but living life on purpose. So deliberately doing things in alignment with your values and beliefs. But it's also about deciding what they are first and making sure that they're up to date. Make sure that you update your software program inside your head, which is what you value and what you believe. We're very quick to update our phones, laptops, whatever, but we don't often take enough time to update our internal guidance software, which is what we value and what we believe and what we do. Okay. So why do that? Because it helps you to stay focused. And number two, it activates your passion. So when you're activated in a state of passion and you're feeling good about what you're doing, it helps to increase your energy. Like it energizes you. When people are passionate, they're energized, right? You feel energized around those people because their vibration is higher, and that vibration impacts you. You feel it, and you can take it in. Number three is living life on purpose and getting aligned. It really does help to give your life clarity. And clarity, when you have clarity around your life, is a free space. It's peaceful, right? Because when you're at peace, there's less drama in your head, there's less pain in your heart, and there's less energy being used and dealing with the day-to-day stuff, right? Number 4 is it helps you to feel gratitude. So when you're living life on purpose, it's really easy to feel gratitude because a lot of the things that you're doing on purpose and you love it. So it's easy to feel gratitude about things you love, and you're cultivating and creating a lot less of things you don't love. Okay. Number 5, live a values-based lifestyle. And so just making sure that you get your values clear, update what your values are, spend some time, take yourself out to the forest for a couple of hours, sit down somewhere nice on a picnic blanket, make a picnic and sit down and really think about, what are my values? What, do the work. What are my values? What do I value in my life? What are my top 6 values that I value in my life? All right, number 6. Why live a life of purpose? Because it increases your level of integrity. Okay, so when you are living life on purpose, you're living in alignment with your values and your beliefs and your actions, and you're congruent and consistent. So if I value good health, and I believe that I'm healthy and I'm taking healthy actions, and the outcome in my body is I am healthy, I'm disease free, I'm medication free, then that's integral. Right? That's truthful, that's integral. So when you are living an aligned life, it increases the level of integrity of how you show up in your life. Number 7, it encourages trust. So when we have high levels of integrity and people check out and people are consistent and they are safe, trust flourishes, right? So when people are valuing something, believing something, and doing something different, you can't trust that because it's not, you're not showing up as your talk. You're talking one thing, saying one thing, and then doing another. There's no trust there. That's very hard to cultivate trust in. So living life on purpose and being aligned, it increases and encourages trust. Number 8, we're almost there. It brings grace into your life as well, right? So it allows the space for grace. When you are in alignment and you're living in alignment, it's graceful because you are not resisting anything. You've got nothing to be afraid of. The truth shows itself to you all the time. And it allows you to have that really nice flow. And flow is graceful. We all see a beautiful river flowing down and we all think how graceful that is, right? So living in alignment increases the flow of grace. Number 9, we find flow. So not only does it allow us to be flow and more graceful, but we find it, right? And it's easy to tap into it and it's easy to allow it because we don't have all the other garbage that we have to process and wade through to get to it, right? We don't have to peel back any layers because the layers are already gone and we keep them gone, right? And lastly, number 10, life is just more fun when you live aligned. It's more fun. You're free and you can have more fun because you've got nothing to hide. You're telling the truth. You're living in honesty. You're living in alignment. You check out. If people get suspicious about you, they can check you out. They can do whatever, they can say whatever they like. But if they can't check it out, and if you don't, show up to that, then you're free. And freedom is fun. I don't know about you, but I love driving around my mountain with the roof down, my hair blowing everywhere, and I've got the trees in the forest driving past, and I'm free, and it's fun. And and I've got no one to answer to, and it is fun. And that is what life is all about. A good life equals fun.
Absolutely.
So that's I hope that this has been of value to people. I hope people can take those 10 concepts and really have a good look at what they're creating in their life.
I think so. I know I learned a little here and there, quite a bit actually. A lot of it resonated with things I've been going through over the last 3 years, things I've been working with on myself. Just been
Yeah.
doing it in a slightly different way and with different nomenclature. So
Yeah.
I really enjoyed this conversation with you this evening, and I hope my viewers too. I think they did. Thank you.
Yes, I've loved having the conversation with you. It's such a pleasure to converse with someone who has such a beautiful open mind as yourself, and also someone who is tapped into that cycle, the cycle of understanding the energy transference. It really is a special conversation, and I'm so deeply grateful, and I thank you from my heart to yours. I thank you. I send
Same.
love and light and peace.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
All right, now let's go see that jungle quick.
All right. Well, let me just get up. I'm going to take a little walk out here. Sorry about the noise and stuff, and it's rather sunny, so we're
It's
going
all
to have to
good.
put our shades on. And I got to open up the door. But here we are. Now, I can't turn the camera around, so I'm just going to have to turn the whole thing around, and
Okay.
you can just see where I am. Can you see that?
Yes.
So this is my
Oh,
backyard. This is my backyard, and can you see the beautiful trees? They're just absolutely huge.
I can
I got
feel it.
veggie patch. There's my veggie patch over here.
Nice.
And but out the back here, if we go for a walk, you can see one of my chickens. I have free range chickens. And if we just go out the back here, I'll show you.
Just a second. Oh, we lost her. We lost her. She must have lost signal. We'll see if she pops back on here. Well, maybe. Oh, yeah.
Oh,
There she
hello.
is.
We're back.
Lost
So
signal.
this is the back forest. That big tree there with all the arms, that's
Mhm.
where all my scrub turkeys live. And down in here is a really beautiful rainforest. It might be very hard to see on the camera because it is what it is. But here's my chickens. Say hello
Nice.
to my girls. Say hi,
Hello.
chicken. Hello. That's my girls. They lay me eggs every day. But
Nice.
this is my backyard, and down here is more forest. I can show you. Actually, this might give you an idea. Down in here, you might be able to see some of the palms a little bit.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so I have a beautiful forest out the back, and then
That's
if we go
beautiful.
down, yeah, and then this here. Let me just. I'm just gonna hoink over the fence here. This is gonna be a little bit of fun. I'm just straddling the fence as we speak. That was a bit embarrassing, but anyway. But here is my front yard. This is my front yard forest. So I have all the amazing, beautiful, big natural gum trees, and
Nice.
yeah, it's like super pretty here.
That is
And
beautiful.
this is my front yard that I get to sit in each day, and I have a little table, and this is my goddess garden that I made not long ago, and I have a water fountain. So
Nice.
part of feng shui is to have a water fountain just there that I normally have going, and yeah. And then this is my beautiful goddess statue over here. Here she is, my new goddess statue. There
Aha.
she is. Yeah, she's pretty nice. But it's very peaceful here, and there's lots of beautiful trees, and it's just a lovely place to be.
That is beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. I
Yeah,
can
you're
feel it.
welcome.
I can feel the energy of that place. It's phenomenal.
It is really a pretty place to live, and I feel deeply grateful that I live here, and you know, that I have the forest energy. Um, yeah, you know, like when we finish the broadcast, if you want to stay online with me, I can take you down, and there's a beautiful pond. So out the back of that forest, there's a gully, and there's a little creek that runs down the gully, and then
Uh-huh.
it goes down to this huge, great big pond that has
Oh,
birds on it and lily pads, and it's just beautiful. And it's not even maybe 50 meters just from my house.
oh, that would be sweet.
Yeah, so
That would be awesome.
yeah, it's a pretty place. It's super pretty for sure. I'm very happy. And if people ever come to Australia, please, you know, be sure to let me know, because you know, Mount Tamborine is a really beautiful community. We actually have here, we're on a mountain that used to be a volcano, and we actually have the largest amethyst depository in the southern hemisphere in the bottom of our mountain here, because of the volcanic, you know, the activity and all of the thunderbird eggs, all of the thunder eggs that we have
Oh,
here. So, yeah, so we have
I'm
huge amethyst depositories underneath the mountain.
I'm saving my pennies. I'm getting there. Someday, I don't know how yet, but I'm gonna get there. Even if it's
Yeah,
for
well,
a day.
it's a pretty place. If ever people get to Australia, please come to the Gold Coast and to the hinterlands up behind the Mount Tamborine, because the rainforest, which is nearby, although I'm in really beautiful forests, it's not ancient forest. The really ancient forest is not too far away, and but it's been here for millions of years, and it's really just such a beautiful energy to live amongst. Yeah, and you know, and this is a conscious choice. This is a conscious choice in my life, to live amongst this here. And we're off the grid. We have septic, we have tank rainwater. We don't have any city services, so there's no city services here apart from garbage collection. But we don't.
Right.
But you know, so we're completely off the grid.
Solar and everything.
Not everybody has solar. My house at the moment doesn't have solar, but I'm hopeful it will as soon as that gets sorted. But most houses here have solar. Yes.
Nice.
I mean, mostly we're off the grid. You know, we're water efficient. We're self-serving with water, and we're self-serving with, you know, the sewage disposal and all the city services mostly. And people also were allowed to, you know, do things like, instead of throwing our rubbish in the ground, we're allowed to burn it and put the ash on our gardens and do things like that, which is really, you know, healthy for the garden.
Absolutely. Nice. Thank you for
Yeah.
that. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
All right.
Well, thank you so much to everybody. It's been a pleasure to join you.
Yes, thank you everybody for joining in. And to the listeners that will be watching us later, thank you also. And on that note, I'm going to let you have a good evening, and everybody else have a good evening. And we'll catch you next time. Thanks.
Sounds great.